Forget what you heard. Yeah, boy!
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Forget What You Heard. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Luke.
And today we're doing our favorite thing once again, fantasy football. Way too early, baby. But yeah, we're just going to get into some, bounce back players, players that struggled last year, but we think they can get back in the saddle and ride. And we're going to get into some sleepers you may not have heard of or keep your eye on. It's going to be exciting stuff. You're holding on to your britches, Luke?
Yeah, man, it's fun picking out like sleepers and, your favorite bounce back candidates. It's just a fun topic to talk about, a fun topic to discuss and to look over because you kind of miss some of these names due to the fact that they were injured or, maybe they're rookies. And it's just fun to glance over them, their situations, what we can look forward to in 2021. So, yeah, absolutely, man. I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah, as you can tell, we're slightly addicted to fantasy. We've been doing mock drafts. We've been studying. We've been shooting the breeze, if you will, with fantasy for a while. And we're just, we're gonna take fantasy by storm. And we're going to take all you guys on quite the ride. So get ready, buckle up.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a crazy ride, and we're going to win some fantasy leagues around here.
Absolutely, man, yeah.
So what do you want to get into first? Bounce back or sleeps?
But we can do bounce back first, kind of get out the way, and it can kind of translate into some sleepers possibly as well. So,
yeah, I guess this isn't that big of a bounce back, but Julio Jones?
Absolutely.
Just because people are so down on him, he's injured all the time. But as we all know, Julio's a freak of nature. And
yeah, if he's on the field and he's healthy, which he normally is, man, people are writing him off as, injury prone. But Julio plays. He plays every year. He misses a handful of games. He's always on the injury report, but he makes the games, he plays the games, and he plays them well. So he's been going really, really lower in drafts.
That surprised me. I was like, this is the lowest I've ever seen Julio Jones since I started doing fantasy drafts. He's fallen far. It's sad, but I think if you get him and he,
And it's the mist around him, too, with him potentially getting moved.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
Last year was kind of a pretty down year for him. But if he's back and he's healthy, he's, let's say he's still with Matt Ryan, I think it's still... he's still a top 10 guy, honestly. Julio Jones, even if he's 32, he's still got it. And we all know it. And he's going to be a beast if he's back and he's healthy. So, yeah, I like him as a bounce back for sure. I think he's going to have a strong season.
Yeah, I love Julio. His real name is Quintarius, if you didn't know that, which I think he should go by Quintarius for his last year.
Yeah, I wonder why he changed it up.
I might be saying it wrong. It's Quintorius.
Yeah, I think that's right.
But I just wanted to throw that fun fact out there, boys.
Quintarius Jones.
I got another one. This one's a big one for me. I'm a big believer in this bounce back, and it's OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, man, you've been hyping up OBJ.
I want him, and I want him this year. I think he's got a lot to prove. Like you said, he's ruined people's fantasy teams like 2 years in a row. And you know what? I really think that affects Odell. And he loves to be... we all know he loves to be loved. And he's kind of out of the spotlight, and this is his year to kind of... He's still young. The Browns are this is probably the best team he's ever been on. He'll be motivated. He's still with his best buddy Jarvis. And I like the trajectory. He's trending upward for me, and I really like him. And you can get him at a really good, fair price.
We haven't seen Odell do it in Cleveland, really. I don't think he's the same guy from New York that we once knew, we once loved. I do see him as a bounce back. It's not going to be hard to bounce back from him last year, but he's still a risky pick to me. And like I was saying the other day, he's just ruined a lot of people. He's left people with a bad taste in their mouth, and it's kind of hard to go back to Odell after all that. But I could see him potentially bouncing back and having a strong year.
You're not as sold though. You still have the jury's still out. You have to see it.
Because do we trust Baker? Like, do we know?
I think
is he? Because we know Landry, he's always going to get his little targets. He has his role. But Rashard Higgins was fine with Baker, and I think just Odell, generates so much attention from the secondaries. He's always double teamed, so it opens up everything else. But it's not necessarily a good thing for him. So, and they don't have a lot of weapons there. So
I think Baker's gotten a tiny bit better every year, so that's promising, right? And I think Odell's talent, even if he is being double teamed or whatever, we've seen freak Odell. I'm talking blonde hair. I'm talking one-handed snags behind his head. I'm talking feet that you can't even see move when he's making them cuts. I'm talking that Odell. He's coming back. He's keeping his nose down. He's staying out of the spotlight. He's not getting on a boat, going to Miami. He's up in New York in the streets of Harlem, working out and playing football. Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully he's working on it, rehabbing and getting back.
Hopefully he dyes his hair blonde again.
Yeah,
he might get that Head and Shoulders commercial back from Patrick Mahomes and Troy Polamalu.
Yeah, I mean, he needs something to rejuvenate his career, but we'll see. I'm not hating on it. I think it's fine. I think he definitely can, but we'll have to see how it goes. I wouldn't bank on it necessarily, him being the same guy he was in New York. But
you're not going to take a chance in the draft, or if he's low.
I mean, I will if
he's fallen.
If he keeps slipping, but I mean, I don't see like a top 12 finish or nothing like that. Receiver, like.
I don't know if I would expect that.
Maybe like a low-end receiver 2, maybe around Robert Woods.
Oh, no, I'm saying a wide receiver, high wide receiver 2.
Yeah, if he's falling past like Lamb, Lockett, Moore, Woods, I think that's kind of the range that he's going to finish in. I don't think he's going to be up there with Ridley and Keenan Allen and Allen Robinson. I don't think he's that guy anymore.
That's fair. Another sleeper. This one's pretty obvious. Quarterback. Can you guess it?
Is it sleeper or bounce back?
Bounce back. Pretty easy. He was having a phenomenal year last year. I guess.
But he didn't finish well?
No, he got hurt.
Oh, Dak.
Yeah. I just expect him to build. I guess that's kind of a bounce back, but I just suspect.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
I think he gets right back into the swing of things with that Dirty Dozen offense, Zeke, all that. I think he just gets right back on the horse and he rides, man.
You won't be concerned about his leg injury or anything in the offensive line?
No, because I remember there was an interview and he said, if there was a game today I could play, which was a month ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, I'm not sure. He seems like one of those guys that rehabs hard too, and those are the people I really like.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%, honestly. I have Dak as the QB4 right now, and I think that's where he should be drafted. I drafted Dak last year. I felt really confident with the pick, honestly. I loved it. I was very excited for the season. He started off having two or three great games, huge fantasy games. And then, unexpectedly had that leg injury, which ended his season. But if, Dak has so many weapons around him and, Dallas's defense is very sus, we can't trust him to stay on the field. The offense is going to be on the field a lot of points being scored against them. And I feel like I have the same vibe of, the Dallas team last year where they're down so many points that, they kind of skip away from running the ball with Zeke. They should be establishing the run, but, with the defense and a lot of these teams scoring points on them, Dak's going to be throwing the ball a lot. They have a lot of good weapons. And, he's gonna score big points if he's fully healthy in 2021. So, he's my comeback player of the year pick, for that award.
Oh, yeah.
That's who I would pick pretty easily. I think he's a strong favorite. So
Yeah, he was putting up Madden numbers before. Those are some of the craziest comebacks I've seen. But of course I wasn't giving him his just due just because he was on Luke's team. But in retrospect and during that time as well, I knew that he's a special guy. Good quarterback, man.
yeah, he's solid, man. They got a franchise guy.
Oh, and I got a good one coming up.
I got a franchise running back
Who?
that's gonna be bounce back.
Who is it?
Saquon.
Yeah, boy.
Saquon Barkles.
Oh, man.
Yeah, another bounce back candidate. You got to buy into Saquon. You got to get him early in your drafts. I know he's just came off ACL surgery, but
He's a rehabber.
he's a real hard worker, man. You know he's gonna be back. He's gonna be back ready to play. Yeah, like the season before, it ended with this severe ankle sprain. I think required surgery, and he was already ready to go next year. He's just a hard worker. He's already getting through rehab. He already looks very fast, agile. Like it's not even an issue for him. And he's uber talented, the most talented running back in the game. And I'll say that 10 toes down. And if he's healthy, revamped offensive line, revamped offense. He's going to get 300 touches. Yeah, he's going to do magical things with 300 touches. Look out for Barkley to have a season like he did his rookie year.
Yeah, my mouth's watering just thinking about it. He is my favorite player in NFL, if you guys didn't know. And, everyone's worried. He's coming off ACL, but he is a rehab freak, which is beautiful to see. Another thing is he does workouts that not a lot of people do, and I think it focuses on his quick twitch, which is amazing for a running back to have. And he's got the quickest twitch I've ever seen. Any open field, even whenever he's kind of caught up in the line, he'll make one quick twitch and he's off to the races. We've seen it. I don't think that's going to go away. I think he's safe as one of the top running backs in the league. Can catch. He's going to be a focal point of the offense. I would dare to say that he'll be the comeback player of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I respect it. I love it, actually. I like Barkley better than Dak, but it seems like quarterback it gives him an advantage there.
Yeah. But I mean, in a perfect world, they'll probably both bounce back in a way, for sure.
Yeah, like you said, Barkley's still a young man. He's 23, 24. He's still got that twitch. He's still young. He's working hard, and yeah, really looking forward to seeing him back on the field, man. He's a unbelievable player.
He's been doing some quad workouts I've never seen.
Shoot, he can probably break a pineapple in threes.
He's done that, and I've seen him moving a bus. You know how people crawl and move a bus?
Yeah.
He doesn't crawl. He puts his feet under it. They take off the wheels. There's nothing protecting him. This is how much confidence he has in his legs. And he lifts the bus with his legs.
He does a
leg
press
press
with the bus.
Yeah.
That's pretty legit.
With a school full of children in it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a superhero.
And the children are fine.
Yeah, I'm sure they love that.
There's no protection for him at all. He's risking his life.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, his legs, man, different. The
Yeah.
center of gravity. It's like MJD.
Yeah, he's low to the ground.
Low to the ground.
Quick
extremely
twitch.
strong lower half.
Yeah, just hope he...
He's like 240, and he runs like a 4.3. It's crazy.
Yeah, and his verticals... I don't even know what his vertical is, but it's got to be 40 plus.
It's got to be.
Just those... Yeah.
Welcome back, Saquon, man. Get him in the draft.
Yeah, King Saquon. Is it Saquon?
Saquon, yeah.
Saquon?
Yeah, yeah, it's the same.
Tomato, tomato?
Tapitas.
Good.
You got any other ones?
I got another Cowboys.
All right.
Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
People were down on him. Fat, lazy, out of breath, loser, nose ring. All these...
Chewbacca.
Yeah, all these negative connotations are flying around him last year. And a lot of them, I'm not going to lie, were deserved. He seemed out of shape. He seemed disinterested. But I think he got wind of this, and he's really taking his health serious. He's really taking his conditioning serious, and he's taking his game serious because he realizes you can go from being loved, one of the best running backs, to one season. What do you have? How many fumbles? 6 fumbles? 5?
Yeah, 5 fumbles lost.
Yeah, you can go from being, celebrated, loved by every Cowboy, every football fan, and then one year they see that you gave up kind of, and you're, public enemy number one, and he doesn't want that. So I think he's motivated to get back in the lab, take some HGH, and get back out there and run that ball. I mean, he's talented. We all know that. I mean, I'll be happy to take Zeke.
Yeah, I saw some of his workout videos, and he's working real hard. He looks very fast. He looks very athletic. Looks like he's dropped some LBs. He's kind of slimmed up, but he's looking like a strong football player. He's looking like young Zeke, Ohio State Zeke, the guy that we love. And he's definitely, as a bounce back candidate, I love it. I think he's going to be a monster. It's just he gets the catches from Dak. Dak loves feeding him the ball. They get him in the passing downs, and they just try to get him involved in any facet of the game. And, that's huge for fantasy. And, they feed him the ball down the goal line. He's capable of scoring, 10 to 15 touchdowns in 2021, along with like 1,500 total yards, 1,000 yards rushing.
Sure.
500 receiving yards. I think pretty easily. If he's healthy, if he's ready to go, if he's motivated, he could have a very, very big year. RB1, level status like we've seen in the past. So, yeah, don't let Zeke slip past you. I wouldn't be too concerned about him this year. I know people love Tony Pollard. They love buying into Tony Pollard.
I like Tony.
I do too, but
he's like an insurance.
He's a backup. At the end of the day, he's Zeke's backup. And, if Zeke's running, Zeke's going to play. He's going to play. They paid him a lot of money, deservingly. I think he's a very good running back. And it's going to be good to see him back and healthy and running strong behind that Dallas offense.
And I want to go back to the point you made about seeing his highlights or his workout. That's really important if you're curious about a player. If you really want to deep dive and investigate, if you want to be like a private investigator, go to their Instagram. See what they're posting. If you look at last year before the season, you went to Zeke's Instagram, he was in Turks and Caicos. He was eating turkey legs in Greece. He was riding the bulls in Spain. He was fondling with the koalas in Cameroon. He was doing all the wrong things. He was enjoying life. And if you're about being the best player, if you're about being a good football player, you're going to be working out in the off season, and that's just a little pointer. Maybe not. I might just be weird and stalk everyone, but it's a good sign to see them working out in the off season instead of enjoying life, which you can do both. But I'd like to see a little the putting in work. I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, I like that too. Yeah, if they're posting, all these at parties or on boats or all this, that's fine. But you'd rather see, your star running back, grinding, putting in, work on the field. You clock out to clock in, man. Even though the season's over with, you got the off season to get you ready for the next year. That separates the dogs from the pups,
Amen. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, it's good to see that. I saw Jerry Jeudy working at it today.
You seen him work out in his neighborhood?
No, I saw him on the sand pits.
Yeah, he posts a lot, but there's a video of him running routes in the street in his neighborhood. His neighbors come out and
really?
What are you doing? Cool. He's got his helmet on.
Really?
Yeah, and he's in the street, and I was like, this guy.
I like that, man.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
I think Jerry Jeudy is a good worker, and I think it'll show this year.
It will, man, if you put in the work.
But that's a good segue, because a wide receiver I have bounced back.
Okay, let's hear
bigger, badder than Jerry. As of right now.
Wow.
As of right now. Not a better route runner or anything. Better hands probably right now. Cortland Sutton. Ring any bells?
Uh-huh. SMU.
Yeah, so he tore his ACL. I think he only had 3 catches for 60 yards. 60-something yards. Did he play only one game?
Yeah, he left in the first game. Remember?
I had him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He started him, and he like blew. He had a great start in the
Yeah.
first quarter. He had like 3 catches.
3 catches, 66 yards, average 22 yards a catch.
Yeah, and then like middle of the second quarter, he like went down.
Yeah, but the year before that, I think he was his breakout, and he had like 72 catches, 1,200 yards, something like that, 7 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns. And that was just him scratching the surface, I believe. And it doesn't really matter who the quarterback is. I just think Cortland is an alpha. And he's big, 6'3", 225, 230. Good hands. Great 50 catch guy. Is decent at routes. Good red zone target. I just think that that 1 year showed basically maybe I wouldn't say his floor, but he was just getting up there. But I think that he was about to ascend to a whole nother level, and he was brought back to earth because of the injury. But I think he can take that next leap, and be 1,300 yards, 1,500 yards, maybe double-digit touchdowns or something. It doesn't really matter who the quarterback is. He's going to eat. And I can't wait to see Cortland back. He's been working hard too. So
yeah, I like him. I like Cortland. My only concern is not Drew Lock, but if they do get a new quarterback like Rodgers or Watson, hypothetically speaking,
yeah,
just the adjustment to having a new quarterback, I think could hurt him possibly.
Or I think it'll make his ceiling higher though.
Yeah, I think obviously a quarterback better than Drew Lock should make Cortland Sutton better, but I just think the adjustment to having a different quarterback can leave you unsure. But if they trade for Rodgers, you're going to be drafting Sutton and Judy in your drafts for sure. And healthy Cortland Sutton is a monster, man. And you said it yourself. You made all the points. He's a strong receiver too if he's healthy. We know that. We've seen it. And yeah, man, I like it. I like him as a bounce back candidate. He's the alpha there. Even with Judy, he's going to be the main guy on the outside. And he's a big guy. He's going to score some. He's basically Kenny Golladay, but I think he's better than Kenny Golladay as a receiver. But for fantasy, jury's still out. Do like Cortland Sutton. He's a good candidate.
Yeah, I got one. This one's kind of interesting. Juju Smith-Schuster, because he's had such a rough year and he kind of took a back seat. I don't think he'll ever be a wide receiver 1 again, but at least a very solid wide receiver 2 that we all thought he was going to be.
Do you think he's going to be the receiver 2 there? Or is he the receiver 3 or 1? Or
I'm talking about fantasy-wise.
But for Pittsburgh. You think he can get back to the receiver 1 status? I
don't think he'll ever get that back.
Is it Deontay Johnson?
Yeah.
And then he's got Claypool to worry about.
That's what I'm saying. This one's very interesting because Juju was such a good player, but he took a big step back last year. We all know it.
Mm-hmm.
He was drafted to be, but he was a low-end wide receiver too. And I just was maybe he could potentially get back to the high wide receiver 2.
You see that happening?
I think there's potential there. I think it could happen definitely. I think Juju's I don't know if it was injury. I don't think he was really injured, but I know he's more talented than what he showed. I don't know if it's because Ben was hurt for a while. I just think he didn't perform very well, but I think he very well could bounce back and be the Juju we kind of know.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was because they were playing him inside in the slot spot, but if they get him outside a lot more, can take advantage of some of those matchups. I think he can kind of get back to that territory, and you could take advantage for sure. He's going real late in drafts, and if you pick him up, hoping he can kind of get back to, receiver 2.
Just getting relevant, really. He was kind of irrelevant last year, kind of.
Yeah, you kind of wanted to stay away from Juju.
Yeah,
I want him comfortable, but
I think he can bounce back to where I need to put
because 2 years ago, you had him in your lineup, you felt comfortable.
Yeah,
he could score touchdowns down in the red zone,
a lot of catches.
Yeah, he's just a good target to have and a good receiver to own. But
He's getting really, like, well, justly so. He's been overlooked. Kind of, we put him in this box, and like this, maybe this is just really Juju without Antonio Brown. Maybe it is. So
you like taking a flyer on him, huh?
I just think it's interesting. I don't know, like it's just interesting. I thought it would be an interesting one to talk about. I'm not, to be honest. I would stay away from him because I like the other two better in terms of ceiling and stuff.
But potentially being like a bounce back.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he's got because we've seen him be.
He's a stud. I don't know what's going on, but we'll see.
Yeah, I just thought that one was really interesting.
I like that. It's definitely potential bounce back with Juju. It's just can Big Ben at 39 or 40 make 3 wide receivers relevant?
I think so.
You think so?
If he's half the man he used to be.
Because that's my concern. Like it's with a lot of these quarterbacks, like guys like Big Ben, like can he make all 3 of those guys relevant, or is it just 1 or 2 this year?
I mean, he's done he's done it before, hadn't he?
Yeah, it's just last year was really concerning with Big Ben, I think.
That's true.
I mean, Claypool and Deontay were really good. I mean, I think as a number 3, though, Juju's numbers weren't bad, but for Juju Smith, I think they're kind of low. So maybe that's what we'll continue to see, or maybe Juju's the guy next year. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see. I just thought that one was really interesting.
Any other bounce backs?
Michael Thomas.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, he was injured when he played. I mean, he played with Taysom Hill. He was all right. I mean, he was a target monster and getting a lot of receptions. But I think if Michael Thomas gets a little Jameis and his famous lamus Camus, he'll be all right, man. He'll start putting up them numbers again. I mean, it does scare me. Like, to me, like for the Saints, it's a no-brainer. You start Jameis Winston. I don't know why. He's a quarterback first and foremost, and then Tyson's just use him as a utility guy. But and I think Jameis. I mean, we've seen Jameis. He can provide a lot of fantasy points to a lot of different players, and I think that's perfect for Michael Thomas. I think if it's Jameis, he will have a bounce back year, and he will, put up Michael Thomas-like numbers. I don't know if he'll do what he did with Drew Brees, but he'll still be up there.
Yeah, I agree. The only reason Michael Thomas isn't in my top 10 right now is because of the uncertainty with Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston. But I agree. If it's Jameis Winston, I think we see Michael Thomas back up there with the best. And Jameis likes to fling it. We saw him he made Mike Evans one of the best in the league there. I think he finished like receiver 4 one of those years. Like I could see Michael Thomas getting back up there. I think he's a better talent than Mike Evans. And having Sean Payton too, I think with Jameis will help him a lot with like being efficient with his targets and his throws. And like keeping it short and sweet with Michael Thomas. That's what he's a route running specialist. Get him in the slants, the short routes. Like he's gonna feast. And I think they paid him money. Michael Thomas is the alpha there. Sean Payton's running the whole offense through Michael Thomas and Kamara. So if it is Jameis, yeah, definitely go buy Michael Thomas. Go get him. I think he'd be a great bounce back candidate. People are kind of thrown off of Michael Thomas because of Drew Brees' retirement. But, if it's Hill, yeah, I'm kind of shying off. But if it's Jameis, he's going to fling it around, man. He's going to be looking for Michael Thomas.
Can't tame us, Jameis.
Yeah, you can't fart the fingers.
Yeah.
I think a bounce back for me is Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
I think he lost his job in Philly. They kicked him out the door. And he found a new home in Indianapolis. They paid up for him. They're looking at him as the guy, franchise guy. He had a very poor season last year, but in 2021, with the Colts offensive line, T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman, the weapons there, and Frank Wright. I think that's the ultimate bounce back juice for Wentz. Yeah, is Frank Wright getting back with his old offensive coordinator, who is now the head coach of the Colts. It's just huge for Wentz. I think he feels comfortable. I saw reports that it's like they never left. They've always been together. He already knows what he's getting himself into, so he's going to be comfortable with the offense. And I like Carson Wentz, especially with the Colts. I think he was drafted second overall. He's got the pedigree, he's got the talent, he's got the skill. We just need to make sure what's going on upstairs in his head is on the right track. And I think it will be because he's comfortable with some of the guys there. And with the offensive line that they have is going to bring the protection he needs. Because last year with the Eagles, he was getting pounded and having to run and move out of the pocket. But with the Colts, he's going to have, 3 to 4 seconds to kind of, go over his reads, make smart throws. And he's got the talent. So, yeah, I believe in him as a bounce-back candidate. Honestly, he's a sleeper. I think you can get him late in drafts. And, kind of if you decide to stream, Carson Wentz will definitely be on your radar in certain weeks. So, I like it.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I think he feels more comfortable in Indianapolis as opposed to Eagles, which was very, I felt like, or what I heard was a toxic environment, like in the locker room and also like the fans. And I feel like, he went to, where did he go? North Dakota State?
Mm-hmm.
So that's like closer to home, more of like a good old boy town in Indianapolis. And, the offensive line, it's a pretty structured team already, a really well-rounded team with a great offensive line, up-and-coming running back, good targets, young targets, old targets with T.Y., baby hands Jack Doyle, Mo Alley Cox, the gentle giant, Michael Pittman, Paris Campbell. He's got a lot of options, and I think he will. I really like this one. I think he's a very, very, very solid breakout or bounce back candidate. I like that pick.
Potentially could have Julio Jones.
Oh, that would be so weird.
That's some of the rumors because they have like $22 million in cap space, and I think they would only have to give up like picks or something for him. And the GM Chris Ballard already said we're going after Julio Jones. We want him as a Colt. And
that'd be so weird looking.
I think it's possible, man. We'll have to find out and see in the next couple of weeks.
Going from black and red to blue and white.
It'd be weird, yeah. He looked really strange.
But he would look cool at the same time if he got his visor.
I kind of like the blue jerseys and the white helmet.
Yeah,
it's Colts jerseys.
It's a cool vibe.
It's a good vibe. In the indoor stadium, just like Atlanta. Julio would feast because Wentz would lock onto that freak and never look back. It would hurt Pittman and T.Y. obviously, but Julio would be a big target in drafts if he goes to Indianapolis.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that at all.
Me neither. I'd love it. It's Carson Wentz, too. He'd be shooting up draft boards. It would help Jonathan Taylor as well. You have Julio on the outside pushing the defense back. Like Jonathan Taylor, it would be great for him.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't heard that, but I believe it.
We'll see, man. Speak it into existence.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I have for bounce back. Do you have any?
No, I think you covered a lot of the, big candidates. There's some other guys I wouldn't, break the bank on them, like most of the guys that you mentioned. So I think as bounce back candidates, those were some good guys, man. I like them. I like the whole list. I like them in 2021, all those guys.
Let's move on to sleepers, which is weird because two of the quarterbacks we mentioned on bounce back I have as sleepers as well. I guess that it's one and the same, in a way.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about them. If you have some other guys, I know.
I got one we didn't talk about. Jalen Hurts, you know him well. Channelview, Texas, baby, Alabama, Oklahoma. He's been through the ringer, but I've been secretly really invested in Jalen Hurts. I think he's a better passer than we give him credit for, and he's got a lot of young guys around him. He's got solid tight ends, offensive line's not bad, Miles Sanders. But the thing that gives me a lot of hope for him is his running ability. I think he can be like a Cam Newton type in terms of like getting rushes on the goal line. And that we saw last year. I mean, he runs for 60 yards. I think he broke the 100-yard mark one game. Correct or no?
Yeah, against the Saints.
Yeah, so he has that potential, and that's in fantasy. It's huge to have a quarterback, because even if he has a bad game throwing, he can still use those legs to give you that, a high floor, which is something I'm always looking for, is a high floor. Even if it's because if you have like Matt Ryan, he has a bad game passing the ball. There's no, he had a bad game, but if Hurts, he has a bad game passing, he could have 2 rushing touchdowns, 70 yards rushing, and then the passing yards is just brownie points at that point. I like quarterbacks like that. He seems to be a good one. He seems to know when to run, when to pass, and he's coming in. This is his full-time job. This is his job. He don't want to lose it. So I think he's going to come in prepared, and he's going to be he's a good sleeper pick for me if you're looking into that.
Yeah, he's a good sleeper pick. If he's a quarterback for the Eagles, yeah, I like him. I think with the addition of Devontae Smith, and you still have Rager and Dallas Goedert, he's got some weapons there. But yeah, like you basically mentioned it. You draft Jalen Hurts because of his rushing ability and his potential to score, 10, 13 points a week rushing, with like 60 yards and a touchdown. And it's definitely possible. And then all the passing yards is just extra added bonus. If you get 10 to 13 points on the ground, you throw for 200 yards. That's 23 points.
It's beautiful.
And so he's going to be throwing for touchdowns. He's going to be throwing the ball a lot to the Heisman Trophy and Goddard. Those are some players.
Dang, I forgot about Devontae Smith.
Yeah,
I think he's a better thrower than Lamar Jackson already.
Yeah, I mean, that's
just a pure thrower. I don't know, if he's accurate. He's not that accurate.
He's not the runner of Lamar Jackson, though.
No, but he's very, very capable.
He could, man. They both could be something real special if they continue to grow. But I like Hurts, especially if he's a starter in Philly, and they put their full trust into him. But there's still rumors with Watson and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm a believer in Jalen Hurts. I have him as QB12 right now, so it's someone you can target around 12-team leagues and stuff like that. I've heard bold predictions, with people saying that he's an MVP in 2021, which that's pretty bold in my eyes, but I can see it, and he's got the potential to be a stud in this league. We saw it against the Saints, but you got to put it together for all 17 games.
Heard that.
One sleeper for me is Tua Tagovailoa.
Tua.
I like it. I like what they're doing. They bought into Tua. They let Ryan Fitzpatrick go. Jalen Waddle, Will Fuller, they brought in to stretch the field to kind of open it up for Tua. Still got Parker, Gesicki, Myles Gaskin. And their offensive line, man. They spent all of 2020's draft just revamping the O-line. And it's going to be Tua's year. It's going to be Tua's season, with Ryan Fitzpatrick gone. And I like it, man. I like him as a sleeper. I like him as a target in deeper leagues or 2 quarterback leagues. And
what about one quarterback league?
Yeah, I think he's a streamer in 1 quarterback leagues.
Because I
don't think you draft him.
Yeah, I noticed in the mocks, I don't remember anyone.
No, like standard 10 or 12 leagues, like 1 quarterback. You don't, unless you draft a backup, like Tua would be an excellent target. But for QB drafters, like streamers, like Tua is a excellent target to have. In good matchups with Will Fuller and Parker. I think because at one point, Tua coming out of school was the number 1 quarterback in the class, like over Joe Burrow at the time.
Yeah.
Over Fields, over most of these guys. And I think the talent's there. It's just last year, he spent all last season in the offseason rehabbing rather than, working on his game and bulking up and getting ready for the season. It was more, rehabbing his injury. But this whole offseason he spent, working with his receivers, bulking up, throwing the ball, getting ready for this year. So I think the outcome's going to be a lot different. I think he's going to, throw the ball a lot more, going to throw it down the field a lot more with Fuller. And I think that's what they expect, bringing in those weapons. So I do like Tua this year. I think he's going under the radar, and he's an excellent streamer, excellent, late-round quarterback, sleeper to target.
But as of right now, you think he's a waiver wire guy, but you think his sleeper, he could potentially be the quarterback that gets you over the top?
Yeah, it's just a
He
sleeper
could be.
quarterback. He's drafted real late, and as a sleeper, I think he could go off. Yeah.
I like that. I think he has the potential to do that as well. You mentioned the weapons, and I think I actually know that he's a hard worker. So he's a lefty. We can't overlook that. That's very different. So I like that pick a lot. You got any more sleeper quarterbacks you'd like to?
Yeah, Sam Darnold.
Oh, red hooded sweatshirt.
Goes from the New York Bright Lights, Green City, to Carolina Panthers, man. Blue and black. You gotta love it. You gotta love Carolina.
I love their jerseys.
And they, going from Jamison Crowder, Braxton Berrios, Rashad Perriman, just stink group, stink team. It was. The O-line stunk. I probably couldn't even name one guy on their O-line.
Bechtel?
Yeah, stink breath. And then he goes to Carolina. He gets Matt Rule, Joe Brady as his coaches rather than Adam Gase, which is excellent. You know, they're only going to help him. They're only going to make him better. And the weapons, DJ Moore, freak. Robbie Anderson, great field stretcher. Terrace Marshall, they drafted. You know, they're trying to bring in some guys to help the offense, to help Sam Darnold. They spend a lot of draft capital on him, and I like him. I think he's a solid player. I believe in Sam Darnold. I really do. I think the talent's there. He just needs, some guidance, some people who understand him for who he is rather than trying to make him into someone he's not. And I think Carolina's going to do that. I'm very excited for Carolina this year. The weapons there, I'm targeting Christian McCaffrey. I'm targeting and potentially Sam Darnold in the late rounds with multiple quarterbacks. And even in single quarterback leagues, man, he's going to be an absolute great streamer, great sleeper, and he can potentially be, finish really high with the offense and the weapons he has.
Yeah, I like that pick as well. They say it's always greener on the other side, and I believe it's never been truer than this trade right here. I think you mentioned the weapons. I mean, he's got Freak Christian, DJ Moore. He's got Dan Arnold. So I think he's in a lot better space, and I feel like he'll feel more free, and like the bright lights are off of him, the pressure's off of him. He can kind of, it's a clean slate. He can go in there and do his thing. I mean, he's drafted really high. He does have a lot of potential, and it's going to be interesting. I think we talked about Sam Darnold a lot this offseason, but it's a very interesting move, and I like it.
Yeah, man, this is Sam Darnold's rookie year.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it for quarterback. I guess like Ryan Fitzpatrick, potentially Daniel Jones is a guy you like.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins is another guy, potentially could be a sleeper. He's always a good player. Kirk Cousins always performs at fantasy. It's weird.
Just never in real life.
But it's like, you'd rather, he's fine in real life, but for fantasy, he puts up, 23, 25-point games, Like, he has big games. It's weird.
Yeah, he's an enigma. But yeah, those guys were all good sleeper candidates, but, he stuck to the... I had Carson Wentz and Jameis Winston. Those are my sleepers.
Yeah, those are some sleepers, for sure.
I like them. But you want to move on to the running backs?
Yeah, let's get into some of these running back sleepers.
I got Chase Edmonds.
All right, yeah.
From the Arizona Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
He was the Robin to Kenyon Drake's Batman. Kenyon would get all the goal line carries. But if you actually paid attention to the game, Chase Edmonds was way more efficient. A lot more efficient. He would average 1.12 fantasy points per touch, which is the 8th most among 50 running backs. I was a Kenyon Drake owner last year, and it made me very angry when because I could tell that Kenyon Drake could lose his job because the way Chase Edmonds he was very efficient, good football player, good running back. I'm just glad that Cliff Kingsbury's got a bonehead and just kept Kenyon in for goal lines and stuff and didn't lose his patience. But Chase Edmonds, a great receiver. He's a good running back all the way around, really. I know they have James Conner, but he's a little poo-poo to me. I think Chase Edmonds, if he can just take over the backfield, if James Conner is very inefficient, I think and he kind of does the Kenyon Drake without doing the Kenyon Drake stuff that kept him in the game with those big games. I think they're going to turn it over to Chase Edmonds. It's going to be his backfield.
Yeah,
and I like that in that offense, baby. They're high speed. They're Texas Tech. They like to Red Raider rash.
Yeah, I like Edmonds as a sleeper because he could potentially be a league winner. If you get him as your fourth RB, I wouldn't trust him necessarily as my third because James Conner's there. I like him as a sleeper because as soon as James Conner goes down or he's not performing, it's going to be Edmonds' backfield. He's going to get most of the touches. And he's a good player, man. He's a good running back. All last year, he was a better back to Kenyon Drake. I think we all know that. You can kind of see it in the games. He's a good player, man. You got to invest in the talent. I think James Conner definitely will have a role. I think he's going to take Kenyon Drake's role as the 1A. Goal line back, kind of get the first and second down carries. He's going to get some touches. But we've seen James Conner can't stay healthy. We've seen him not be efficient. And he's actually, there's analytics into, he's the most injury-prone player in the NFL. So I do like the idea of drafting Edmonds with the potential of James Conner going down and him being a league winner for you because, like you said, with the fantasy points per touch, if he's getting touches and he's scoring fantasy points, so I like it. I like him as a sleeper. He's a potential league winner. And, yeah, it's a good sleeper. I have a sleeper here. The sleeper is Mike Davis.
I
like Mike Davis. He's a good player. You saw him at Carolina once McCaffrey went down last year. And he showed up to the game, man. He really did. He had a heck of a season, 28-year-old. But not so much mileage, and I think he's ready to go. I think he's ready to be the starter in Atlanta. Todd Gurley's washed, boo-boo cheeks. He's no longer on Atlanta, I don't think anymore. I don't think he has a chance of.
He's a free agent.
I don't think he's gonna find a team, or at least he won't be back in Atlanta. And it's gonna be Mike Davis' show. Brian Hill recently signed with Tennessee. I know they drafted Javian Hawkins, who could be the third down guy. I like him as a player, but they signed Mike Davis to be their guy. So any starting running back in the league always garners some attention. But I don't think Mike Davis is getting enough attention. I think the Falcons are a good team to invest in. Their offense is always electric. Kyle Pitts is there. They're going to be having a lot of scoring opportunities, and they're going to need Mike Davis to carry the load. He's a great running back to target. And he's going to get a lot of touches. And if he's able to do what he did last year with the touches, he was an RB2 in Carolina. And I think Atlanta's offense is, better to be bought into than Carolina's offense. So I like Mike Davis as a sleeper. If he starts slipping in drafts, man, make sure to get Mike Davis.
Yeah, I like Mikey boy. When Christian McCaffrey went out, he came in and he kind of didn't miss a step. It was kind of weird. Thought Mike Davis was I didn't know he was an all-around back like that. I thought he was very limited, but he really shocked me. And he was a must-have, must-start every week, and filling in for Christian McCaffrey. And I think, like you said, the Falcons' offense is, I think they could use a Mike Davis, and I think he will put up the numbers, and he's a good sleeper to have out there, man. He's a ball player. Simple as that. I got one for you. Tarik Cohen. He was out last year. I think he played 3 games. But everyone's fixated on David Montgomery, and rightfully so, because he's the starter. He's their bell cow. But Tarik Cohen is a forgotten man in that backfield. In 2018 and 19, Cohen was 4th in the NFL in targets and 5th in both reception and yards amongst running backs. I think we forget how freaky he was. And if you're in like a half-point PPR, he's a very solid start. And I think that, he's been forgotten about. He tore his ACL week 3, but he should be back for training camp. And with Matt Nagy, I think Matt Nagy really has like a man crush on Tarek. So I think he's got potential to put up some numbers, man, even behind David Montgomery. And they might use him as a little wide receiver. You never know, man. Use him in different gadgets and things of that nature.
Yeah, another sleeper running back for me is Gus Edwards.
Oh, I got Gus too.
Yeah, Gus is on my list of potential league winners. And Dobbins is there. He's the guy we know. Mark Ingram's left. He's now gone. But Gus Edwards has a role. He's going to have a role from day one. He's going to get carries every game. He's going to be involved. They love them some Gus Edwards in Baltimore. They like to give him the rock. He's very north and south, very straight line. No games with Gus Edwards. He's a very gifted runner. He's a special player. He can break off. His yards per carry are very solid. He gets the yards, and that's what you need as a running back. And as soon as J.K. maybe potentially gets hurt, and Edwards is the guy there, and he's going to get a lot of carries, a lot of touches. And he's going to be a guy you want to have on your roster because, say you are injury bitten, your top 2 or 3 RBs are out or hurt, you can still slide Gus Edwards in there even with Dobbins in there. He can still get you 60 to 100 yards rushing with a touchdown potentially. Every given week, man, he's going to have a role. And a potential league winner there if Dobbins goes down, like I was saying, Gus Edwards is going to be the guy touching the ball, and that's a great offense you want to be invested in. They run the most of any team in the league. Yeah, you want to be involved in that. You want to be touches matter in fantasy. Gus Edwards getting touches, and that's where you want to be.
Yeah, I had Gus Bus as well, just for all the reasons you mentioned. They love to run the ball. He's efficient. I used to hate him. That's because I had J.K. Dobbins, but now he's a friendly foe to me. And I have respect for the Gus Bus. And you know what? All aboard. Because it's taking off and we ain't stopping until we get to Telluride.
Yeah, Nyheim Hines is another sleeper for me. He finished as the RB15 in PPR last year. That was with Taylor. I think it's the same roles. It's going to be the same situation for those two guys. Taylor getting the majority of the touches, first and second down. But Nyheim Hines has a role. He's going to be a PPR monster. He's going to get a lot of touches, a lot of catches. And the special thing with Nyheim Hines that you wouldn't expect is Frank Wright loves to use him in the red zone. We see Jonathan Taylor had his fair share of goal line carries, but, if they're like on the 10-yard line, 10-yard line, Hines is in there a lot, and they like to throw him the ball, they like to get him out in the flats, maybe a wheel route, throw it over the top, and that's what, and if you go back to Wentz and Philly, he loves that running back wheel route, he loves to target Miles Sanders and Boston Scott, and with the weapon like Hines there in Indianapolis, it's going to be very similar to that, and I think, he's going to be one of Wentz's favorite targets when he's in the game because he's very athletic, he's very agile, he's a great pass-catching back. And he's a great target, especially in half PPR and PPR. I think he's pretty much must-own. Like everyone was rushing to the waiver wire like week 1 and 2 after last year. Had to get Nyheim Hines. Like he was the most priority. Why is he not going early? Why is he not being drafted? Why is he so low? I don't know. I love to target him in drafts. And I think we're gonna get back to what we saw last year with Nyheim Hines, and he shouldn't be overlooked. Like. He's going to have a role. Yeah, another sleeper for me is Phillip Lindsay. Yeah, Houston Texans running back now. His 1 year, $3 million contract. He's a sleeper for me because he performed even being the number 2 in Denver with Melvin Gordon. They kind of had a 1-2 punch with Melvin kind of being a bruiser and then Phillip kind of coming in as a change of pace, but even with limited amount of touches and carries, Phillip performed. He had some nice games. He's a extremely hard runner. He's very fast. He's very electric. And it's going to be a great, change of pace back to David Johnson. I think he's going to have a similar role like he did in Denver. But I think in this point in their careers, Melvin Gordon might be, better, less injury prone than David Johnson. We've seen that David Johnson's history with injuries and not really performing that well. So if at any point in the season David Johnson goes down or isn't performing great, Philip Lindsay's going to be getting carries. He's very electric. He improves the offense because of how aggressive and how energetic he is. And I think the Texans think the same way, where they want some guys who have that dog, that it factor that they lacked. Last season they lost a lot of games because they were lacking some dogs. And Philip Lindsay is a very dog running back. Given his size, he's still little, but he runs harder than most of these running backs in the league. And the Texans were looking for someone like that, and Lindsay fell. Lindsay was able to come to Houston, and I like it. I like their O-line's getting a lot better, and they're going to run the ball a whole lot, the Texans will, with, the question marks around Deshaun. And I don't know, they brought in running backs because they plan on running the ball a lot, and Lindsay's going to be a big part of that. Another sleeper I have is Darrell Henderson. Back up to Cam Akers. Malcolm Brown left to Miami. So it's just the Darrell Henderson show and Cam Akers show. Cam Akers is going real early in drafts. You'll probably miss out on him if you don't have one of those early second or middle second round picks, which is fine, because why not just go get Darrell Henderson? He's going to have a role. Sean McVay loves to use, different running backs in different situations. We've seen Darrell Henderson blow up, have huge games, even with Akers and Malcolm Brown there. I do think, Cam Akers will be used, as a 3-down back, but as soon as he goes down, it's Darrell Henderson, I see him as a sleeper. I see him as a guy who can win you a league. If Cam Akers were to get hurt or underperform, because Darrell Henderson's got it. He's got that breakaway speed. He's got the juice. And I like him as a player. I think he's a great sleeper in 2021. I even think he's going to have a role from day one, with Cam Akers kind of being a change of pace back. And he's going to do some damage. So I have Darrell Henderson as another sleeper.
I got a sleeper who's been slept on. Jeff Wilson Jr. for the 49ers. You know where he's from? Palestine, Texas. And he went to North Texas University. The reason I mention him as a sleeper is because last year he doesn't play that much. Last year he started 3 games, had 126 carries, 600 yards, 7 touchdowns, 13 catches, 133 yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns. If that ain't efficient, I don't know what is. I know they drafted Trey Sermon, but looking at these numbers, it's very impressive. He's shown that he can do it. He's more of a made commodity, rather than just seeing what Trey Sermon's all about. But I really like Jeff Wilson and Kyle Shanahan's offense. They use a lot of running backs, and I think Jeff Wilson has earned kind of his spot on the team. And maybe they give him some run. He's a sleeper for sure, but just keep your eye out for him and see where it goes.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, that's our running back sleepers. I'm going to move on to receivers. My number one sleeper receiver is Darnell Mooney. I think he's a must-have in your fantasy leagues, 10-team leagues, 12, whatever. Go get Darnell Mooney. I love Darnell Mooney because he's going to be the number 2 in Chicago behind Allen Robinson. And he's very talented. He's a very good receiver. He's very crisp. He's very pure in his route running ability. He's very fast. Last year with Mitch Trubisky, Trubisky isn't very good. He's not a guy who can make a lot of good throws. He's not a guy who's going to make great reads. He's not going to find the open man a lot of times. But, they have Andy Dalton, who is probably going to start early and often, probably the first 3 weeks of the year. I love Allen Robinson with Andy Dalton, but as soon as Justin Fields gets into the game, Darnell Mooney is the guy you want. So that's why I think he's a target. That's why I think he's a sleeper. Justin Fields has a big arm. He's got a really big arm. He's accurate with his throws. He can move out of the pocket, extend the plays. And you want the speedster. You want the guy on the outside who's burning people, who's open on a lot of plays down the field. That Mitch Trubisky couldn't make those throws last year. You know, he couldn't get it there. Didn't have the accuracy down the field. But with Justin Fields, that's his strength. That's what he's known for. And you know, if Mooney can have those big play abilities, and you know Fields is able to hit him in stride, he's gonna be a monster. And that's why I think he's a great target. He's a great sleeper. And yeah, go get Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, I really like this one. I couldn't agree more. I mean, his rookie year, he had 631 yards and 4 touchdowns, and not bad given the circumstances he was under with Mitch Stinkrisky. But he's got burners, like Luke said. He ran a 4.38. He's a good route runner, great body control. The number 2 to Allen Robinson. He played 73% of the snaps last year, which is only going to go up. But, yeah, I like that. I really love this pick, and Darnell Mooney is being slept on. So if you get the opportunity, man, people may ask who when you draft, but then you say scoreboard after you play him.
And you say moo.
Yeah, you say, yeah, is that his nickname?
No, I just thought it was cute.
Yeah, that was pretty cute. You just say scoreboard because he's going to put up about 15, 12 points per day.
48 minus 6 equals 12.
13.
You got any sleepers, or am I going?
I got one, eh? I got Laviska Shenault Jr. Oh, I love Laviska. He's another Texas boy, DeSoto. Went to CU. Kind of used him as a gadget player last year. He ran the ball a lot. Caught the ball. He ended with 600 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns, which isn't bad. But I think that Urban Meyer's scheme is like collegiate, and Laviska is like a perfect player to put everywhere, and I think Urban Meyer's going to use him to do that. And I think with Trevor Lawrence, he can really blossom into a great player, a great wide receiver. He's a big boy, fast, and they're just going to figure out a way to manufacture touches for him, whether it be, handing him the ball off, screens, or, just getting him the ball down the field in terms of, passing him the ball as a wide receiver. But I think he's got a lot of upside with that offense. He's still young. He can grow with Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer. I think that is a dynamic trio because they'll figure out different ways to get him the ball in good situations, and I think he'll make the most of it. I got another one for you. You'll like this one, Luke. Ski! Jalen Reagor. Yes. You may think, man, he stunk buns last year, and he did. But I think
It doesn't stink.
I think we realized a couple things about Jalen Reagor.
First round pick, baby. Back at it again. Let's
Reagor
go.
is not a number 1 wide receiver. He's not your ex wide receiver. That's why they brought in Devontae Smith.
Great number 2, baby. Let's go.
I mean, he had shaky QB play. He was injured. Probably stunted his development. However, it is worth noting that he had 19 targets between week 14 through 16 when Hurts was under center. And I think this offseason they can develop a chemistry. And I'm really, how I feel about Hurts, and I think that if he, ascends, I think so will Jalen Reagor. But we know he's not a number 1. He's a number 2, but I think he can be a great number 2. Well, not a good number 2, a solid number 2, and be a productive, fantasy player. He's a sleeper. I know he had a weird rookie year, but, keep your eye out, man. Maybe waiver wires. I don't know if you draft him, but, keep an eye out. And if they form a beautiful chemistry, then that's when you jump and you got something special there. It's hard for me to say because I ain't really an Eagles fan. You know how they say fly, Eagles, fly? I say soar, Eagles, soar. Wait. Soar, seagull, soar.
back with a different energy now.
Uh-oh, we got ourselves a Wild Lou. Wild Lou Bukrowski. Wild Lou Bukrowski. Welcome back.
All right, sleeper receiver for me, Brandon Cooks. Great target late. He produces every year. Had like 5,000-yard seasons in his 6 years. He's always good. He's number one target in Houston. People are sleeping on Houston for fantasy. They're going to have to score points. They're going to have to find a way to get the ball into the end zone, into the hands of Brandon Cooks. I love Nico Collins too as a target in Dynasty, but for this year, Brandon Cooks is going to get all the volume he can get. If he's healthy, he's a good late round receiver pick. I definitely see him catching 70 balls, getting 1,000 yards. It's just sometimes he lacks touchdowns, but he scores on a lot of deep balls, so I can see like 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns out of Brandon Cooks, but he's going real late. I think he's a guy you should target later in drafts as a sleeper.
I got to sleep. Gabriel Davis, wide receiver from the Buffalo Bills, was a rookie last year. There's a little bit of hype going, but it sounded like a choo-choo, not a freight train.
Yeah, he had some decent games last year.
Yeah, he was very good. Don't get scared about Emmanuel Sanders. I think he has solidified his role on that team. Last year, he had 35 catches for 600 yards and 7 touchdowns in 13 games. And I think he can build off that.
Good.
Yeah, and he's a deep ball threat. And I'd always see G. Davis, scored a touchdown. I'd be like, who is that guy? And it was very often, and it dawned on me that it was Gabriel Davis. And now I'm sold on him, and we'll see how this year goes. I think Emmanuel doesn't scare me away that much. I still like Gabriel Davis. He's young, second year. He's got the chemistry.
He's going to get only better, especially in his second year. He's going to be a better receiver.
Oh, what's it done?
He's going to get more targets, too, in this offense with John Brown.
Wasn't done.
Cole Beasley being older.
Gabriel Davis wears his helmet backwards.
Yeah, receiver, sleeper for me, Marvin Jones. Mentioned him in the last
Junior.
podcast. Mentioned him in yesterday's podcast. I think he's a great sleeper target. I mentioned a lot of things yesterday on it's a new quarterback, it's a new scheme, it's a new offense. They spent money on him knowing that Trevor Lawrence is going to be there. Urban Meyer obviously likes something. He sees something in Marvin Jones. And surprisingly, he was a top 20 receiver last year in Detroit. And that was with other guys there too. But he produces every year, man. It's Marvin Jones, always under the radar. But he's consistent. People will tell you he's inconsistent. He has big games, has down games. But I'd say I disagree. I think Marvin Jones is a solid guy. You can start as receiver 3 or in your flex. And I think it's going to be the same in Jacksonville. We see Jacksonville always has, Chris Conley, Keelan Cole, guys like that who can always kind of come out of nowhere and just be the stud. But, they have Chark, they have Chenault. But they're going to be looking to throw a lot, even after drafting Etienne. I think they're looking to kind of let Trevor Lawrence do his thing. And Urban Meyer is a guy who loves to throw the ball, in his Florida days. And Marvin Jones is going to be a great target later in drafts with Trevor Lawrence at the helm. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns. He's a great red zone target. And yeah, he's just flying way too low for me. I like picking him late in drafts. Marvin Jones.
You got any Muwada?
Yeah, I got another one. Russell Gage, Atlanta Falcons receiver. If Julio gets moved, it's Russell Gage moving right in. He's a good receiver. He's had big moments when Julio's out. 100-yard games, multiple touchdown games. Matt Ryan loves to fling it around. Calvin Ridley's the alpha, taking all the pressure away. And Russell Gage is a guy who can step right in. I even like him as a target with Julio, but, if Julio gets moved, it's Russell Gage to the moon, baby. And, yeah, he's a great sleeper late in drafts. It seems like he produces every year. You see him, in games where he kind of has blow-up games. And I think that could be a lot more consistent with Julio gone. And more targets, more plays, more routes. And he's a good player, LSU player. LSU produces great receivers. And I love Russell Gage as a sleeper, as a late-round target this year.
I got Mike Williams. I got Mike Williams for the sole purpose that he's a beast. And he's got Justin Herbert now. And he's got him for the whole year. He's got him for a whole offseason. And someone needs to catch those touchdowns. Keenan Allen ain't a touchdown guy. They don't got Hunter Henry anymore. He's the number 2 on a very high-powered offense. He makes great traffic catches. I like Mike Williams, and he's just a sleeper. Keep your eye on him. He's going late, but that could be a very, very juicy prize at the end of the rainbow if you keep looking for him.
Yeah, I've got 2 sleepers that I want to mention, 2 rookie receivers real quick. Rashad Bateman and Amon St. Brown. I think those are 2 guys you can target with the last pick in your draft. Bateman, I think, slides in as a number 1 in Baltimore. I know that's kind of a sticky situation. You don't really want Baltimore receivers. But, with them looking to throw the ball a little more, I think Bateman, he's going to get a healthy amount of targets in his first year. And I love Rashad Bateman as a prospect. I love him as a player. I think he's going to perform really well in Baltimore year 1. And then Amon St. Brown is a guy you should definitely consider with your last pick in the draft. He's going to have a role from day 1, given Detroit's receiving corps is booty cheeks. Man, Jared Goff, finds the guy and he likes to throw to. With Cooper Kupp, he locked on for a few years, and Robert Woods more recently. I think Amon St. Brown can come in. I think he's already one of the more talented guys, on Detroit Lions receiving corps. So if he comes in, he's starting slot receiver. I think he can have an impact from day 1. I think he could be a great late round sleeper pick.
Jared Goff wears board shorts.
And then another sleeper receiver I want to mention is Josh Reynolds. Recently got a contract with Tennessee. Corey Davis skipped town, went to New York Jets. Got to fill the role, got to fill the targets. Brought in Josh Reynolds, and he's going to get targets, man, in that offense. And I like him as a sleeper because he's technically the number 2 in Tennessee. A lot of number 2s on these other teams are already off the board. And I think Tennessee's a good offense to invest in. Tannehill's proved he can handle it. He's a good quarterback. Derrick Henry moving the ball. I think there's a lot of potential to score a lot of touchdowns, a lot of receiving yards. It's basically like him. He probably won't have the same amount of targets as Corey Davis did, but 80-90% of that to Josh Reynolds would be an excellent sleeper, would be an excellent late round pick, and an excellent guy to target on your waiver wire. Yeah, another receiver sleeper is John Brown. John Brown's now with the Las Vegas Raiders. He's a stud. We saw that he still had the ability with Buffalo last year. In the playoffs, he really performed. He's 30. I think he's 31 years old, but he's still a great player. He slides into that Nelson Aguilar role, who had his career best year last year. I think it was 800 yards, 8 touchdowns. And I can see that with John Brown. I think there's similar players, kind of, field stretcher type guys. And he's a good player. He could potentially be the number 1 target on the receiving corps outside of Darren Waller. If Ruggs can't step up, or Bryan Edwards, or Hunter Renfrow. I think John Brown steps into the Aguilar role, and I think he's a good sleeper. I think he's a good late-round guy to target.
I got Gerald Everett. We all know Russell Wilson. Sorry, I got a naked dog licking on me. Russell Wilson loves to target the tight end. Gerald Everett is different than all the other tight ends he's had. He's more athletic, great pass catcher, quick, and I think he'll do. I think that's a great spot for him to land is Seattle. Russell's a great quarterback. Got a solid offensive scheme. He's got Tyler Lockett. He's got DK Metcalf. So if you're struggling to find that missing piece, and then usually it's a tight end, you're just like, you're at your wit's end. Take a flyer on Gerald Everett, man. I like that. I like your chances with him. I think he'll be decent.
Yeah, I like Gerald Everett. He was on my list to target too as a sleeper. Russell Wilson likes to target tight ends, so I think
that's for sure.
So I like Gerald Everett. He's a good player. Sleeper for me that I want to mention first and foremost, is my most targeted later round tight end, Irv Smith. Go get Irv Smith. He's my breakout tight end of the year. Everyone's looking for tight ends. Nobody likes tight end's position. But Irv Smith, I think, is a guy who can kind of break out a little bit this year. Kyle Rudolph's gone. He's kind of been the anchor to Irv Smith's production. Yeah, Kirk Cousins loved Kyle Rudolph, and Irv Smith is a way better prospect, way better player than Kyle Rudolph at that position at this point. And, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen on the outside, kind of spreading it out for Irv Smith up the middle, around the middle, near the middle, and near the red zone especially is Irv Smith. We've seen Kyle Rudolph score a bunch of touchdowns in the red zone. I think that's Irv Smith's spot now. Irv Smith is a great target late. He's my favorite late tight end to grab. And just spreading the wealth, man. I hope y'all follow suit with Irv Smith.
You got any more?
Yeah, I've got three more I'd like to mention. Anthony Firkser, another sleeper tight end.
I got him
for Tennessee.
I like that one.
Jonnu Smith's gone. We kind of saw him last year too. He kind of had some moments, a few games where he scored some touchdowns, had like 60 yards. But it's the Anthony Firkser show now, baby. Tannehill loves the little, corner routes to his tight end. He loved Jonnu Smith. I think Firkser's a pretty studly tight end, honestly. He doesn't get a lot of love, but I think the love's going to be shared in 2021 to Firkser. Another sleeper guy. Another guy I have is Adam Troutman for the New Orleans Saints. Great prospect. I love him coming out of school. 3rd-round pick last year. I think he steps in that Jared Cook role. The Saints do lack some weapons on the outside with Michael Thomas and Traquan Smith, but not really a lot of people outside of that. So targets will be there, opportunities there for Adam Troutman. And if it's Jameis Winston, yeah, big fan of Adam Troutman late as a sleeper. And one more I'd like to mention is Jared Cook for the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yes, indeed.
Jared Cook likes to cook it up. Jared Cook, man, he's a vet. He's been there, he's done that, he's performed on like every team he's been on. He's performed with the Raiders, he's performed with the Packers, he's performed with the Saints. Now he gets to perform with the Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert. Hunter Henry's a stud tight end who was there for Herbert. He had 600 yards, 4 touchdowns last year. You can expect that from Jared Cook. And he's going real late in drafts, but I think the value is going to be there for Jared Cook. He's a good, solid tight end. He always has been his whole career. And, you want to get shares of that Chargers offense with Herbert at the helm. So those are my sleeper tight ends.
Yeah, that's all I got for sleeps. That's all I got. Thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of Forget What You Heard, our fantasy edition. Like we said before, we're going to keep rolling them out. They're going to be juicy. Stay tuned and stay blessed. Thanks for listening. Peace, love, and happiness. Eat 'em up, cats.